Hi guys, I'm back. Today I want to talk about something that I feel is really important. It's how to approach someone with a physical limitation by saying hi or wanting to be their friend or even wanting to help them with something. I realize that people who are quote unquote normal, um, I I realize that they have a hard time approaching someone with a physical disability, which I never really understood. But they have a hard time with it, so I'm gonna give you guys some advice. First of all, I don't want you to go up to the person and just automatically ask what's wrong with them. I mean, that's one way to approach it. Some people with physical disabilities, um, I mean, most of them are pretty used to that. I know I am. That's why when people just come up and ask me, I'm not offended or anything because I'm just so used to that. It's something that I've come accustomed to and uh, dealt with. But some are still, um, they're pretty upset when people do that. So, if you are curious, if you just want to go up and ask them, how did you end up that way? Really first just get to know them. Go up to them and say hi, like you would a regular person. Because we truly are regular people. We just have a different way of getting around. So, just go up to them, sit next to them, say hello, introduce yourself. Um, get to know their interests and things like that. Or, oh, how are you? What are you into? What are your hobbies? Things like that. And, and then if you feel like you still need to ask, just say, hey, I noticed that you have a physical disability. Would you mind me asking how you got it? Then if you ask that way, I'm sure they'll be a little bit nicer. Because it is true. Once you have a physical disability, you kind of expect people to ask. Because that's human nature. People are just curious about everything. So it's built in us. I mean even I'm that way. If I see someone who, has a patch over their eye, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, how did they get that?" Like I mean it's a little different for me because I I don't usually just go up and ask, but I feel like I'm more allowed to because of my situation, so we can kind of like relate. Um, Another thing is that something that really bothers me is when I am explaining something and say, "Oh yeah, I was walking over here," and the person's like, "Wait, you were walking?" When I say I'm walking somewhere, I'm not. My way of walking is walking somewhere in my wheelchair. My wheelchair is what makes me walk because I can't. So instead of saying, "Oh yeah, I rolled somewhere," because why would I want to say that? I just say, "Oh, I was walking to this place," and people always stop me and they're like, "Whoa, I thought you couldn't walk," and I'm like, "Okay, fine, rolled." But I mean, if someone is telling you something and they say, "Oh yeah, I walked here," just be like, "Okay, yeah," because my definition of walking is in my wheelchair because that's how I walk. That's how I get around. Um, Another thing if you really want to know someone who has a physical disability, but you're kind of afraid on how to talk to them, please don't stare. um, I know it's kind of hard when you look different, but I've been stared at my entire life, and it does get kind of annoying sometimes. Sometimes I wish, like I could just stop people from staring, but they can't. It's it's whatever. Um, Either that or I realize that people they like it's really obvious that they try to ignore you. So, like if you're walking past someone and she has or he has a physical disability and you just automatically look the other way, you don't even, you know, see that they're there. It's obvious that you're trying to avoid them or avoid eye contact, which isn't the right way to do it either because no one wants to be ignored, no one wants to be avoided, you know? So those are a couple things that I feel like you guys should know about. Anyway, I have to sign off. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.